Hi, I'm Megan and I work at Lesbians Who Tech and Allies. Today I want to tell you a story that's going to have you questioning or at least curious about the accuracy of any blog, article, or social media post about Black women in history. You may have noticed that every week during Black History Month, we've been highlighting famous Black women, trans, and non-binary pioneers. The story I'm going to tell today is about how our celebration of Black History Month highlighted a major issue that we should all be aware of. So, fast forward to beginning of February. My coworker Annie, who runs our social media, messaged me and said she wants to show me something crazy and to hop on Zoom. Of course, I always want to see something crazy. So I jump on and she proceeds to tell me how in our first post on Black History Month, she attributed the invention of the furnace to Alice Parker using this photo. But then a few hours later, the same photo is being circulated on Instagram and it's being attributed to Mary Van Britten Brown, the inventor of the security system. So of course, Annie immediately panics and she goes to make sure that she has the correct photo attributed to the correct person. And side note, Annie is like an amateur historian. She writes narratives for buildings to make sure they get their historical markers, like in her free time for fun. But anyways, the crazy part. During that research, she finds that this photo has been attributed to 4 other names and inventors. This very photo has been identified on countless blogs, articles, and social posts as being Alice Parker, inventor of the furnace, Mary Van Britten Brown, inventor of the security system, Theora Stevens, who invented the curling iron, and even Bessie Blount Griffin, a World War II nurse who invented a device that allowed soldiers who had no hands to feed themselves. Crazy, right? And so we're on the case now. We want to know, is this really Alice Parker? Who are all these other women? Why is there no accurate information on her? And most importantly, why has no one noticed? Well, actually come to find out, one person did notice. And we talked to that one person. And that conversation honestly unveiled some wild revelations and led to even more questions, which I'm going to have to cover in another video. So stick with me. This is an important conversation and stay tuned for part 2. Okay, part 2 of who is Alice Parker. If you're seeing this first, make sure you go back and watch part 1 so you have the full context. So there was one other person who noticed this photo being used for so many different Black inventors. Her name was Audrey Henderson, and she's a journalist at Energy News Network. So Annie and I decide we need to meet with her. We reach out, and Audrey so graciously agrees to meet with us on Zoom. Apparently, she originally set out to write an article for Juneteenth about Alice Parker, inventor of the furnace, and fell down the same exact rabbit hole we did. Except for she spent a year of research. Yes, a year, combing through patent records, census records, genealogy websites, which eventually led her to publishing an article that we'll post in our bio for you to read. And it did uncover some facts. We know that these 2 photos come up when you search Alice Parker. Neither are her. This one is a white woman named Alice Parker, but she was born 5 years after the patent was registered. This one is a Black woman, but Audrey said after a year of research, she still can't confidently confirm this person's identity. The Smithsonian website says this is Bessie Blount Griffin, the World War II nurse. Remember her? So all 3 of us are in the same boat. There's so much conflicting information from seemingly reputable sources that it's hard to know what the truth is. And better yet, we still don't know who Alice Parker was. So I'm gonna wrap this up with a final video. Promise it's the last one. Keep your eyes peeled for part 3. So we're left with the question, what can we do? And truthfully, we don't have the answer. Well, then what's the point of this video series? Well, first, it's a good reminder to triple check your sources and remember that traditional historical sources already disproportionately cover marginalized communities. So if you want to make a post on Black History Month, for example, but don't have enough information, don't use confirmation bias in your research to try to fill in the gaps. Second, if you notice something inaccurate, kindly let the person who posted it know it's wrong. Chances are they thought they did their due diligence, just like we did, and we'll want to know if they posted something false so they can take it down. And lastly, we are not Lesbians Who History, we are Lesbians Who Tech. But if there's 2 things we care about, it's bringing visibility to marginalized communities and making sure their stories are represented accurately. And that includes history. So we hope you share this post. We want to get this to the right people who are in positions of power or can give funds to proper research projects. That way people like Alice Parker and their stories can get the credit they deserve. Thanks for listening.